Is the decision HYBE made now the biggest boomerang for BTS? And will Jungkook's deep regret for that decision be the key to the drastic action taken by Taehyung? The world of K-pop has once again been rocked by shocking, emotional, and confusing news. Taehyung is rumored to be taking a step no one ever anticipated, while Jungkook looks battered to the point of blaming himself. Not just as a group mate, but as the person who has been closest to him. Internal sources who began to dare to speak up said that this simmering conflict had actually been going on for a long time, since the early days of reshaping BTS's strategic direction after the military hiatus. From then on, major decisions began to be taken by HYBE, including the establishment of successive solo projects and restructuring the career direction of each member. But apparently, not all members felt the decision represented their will. And among them, two of the most vocal figures, although they have never stated it directly in public, are Taehyung and Jungkook. On its surface, all seemed fine. BTS remains a global icon, each member busy with solo projects, appearing in various media, and continue to earn the love of the ARMY around the world. But who would have thought, behind that magnificent stage, there were small sparks that grew into a big fire. The sparks stemmed from differences in principles, the imposition of industry agendas, and a sense of loss of control over their personal choices. And now, Taehyung, who has always been seen as calm and diplomatic, has made a surprising move that not only shook fans, but also sparked a serious question. Can BTS still be called a unit? The move in question was not a blatant exit statement, but more subtle and more biting. In an exclusive interview with foreign media, Taehyung said he was building a personal space and moving away from a system that no longer gives him breath. The sentence immediately went viral, and speculation could not be contained. Some media analysts have called this a clear indication that Taehyung is trying to separate himself from BTS's structure, not out of hate, but out of a need for freedom. But what made it all the more dramatic was when, just 2 days after the interview was released, Jungkook went on an emotional live broadcast, implying that he felt guilty and regretted, a decision that shouldn't have happened in the first place. The sentence was immediately associated with various theories. Some fans and observers said that Jungkook was referring to HYBE's decision that put too much pressure on the agenda of each member's solo project and did not consider the emotional value and togetherness that had been the foundation of BTS. In a moment that is now viral on X, formerly Twitter, Jungkook said quietly, "We have the power to say no, but I wasn't strong enough back then." A sentence that made millions of viewers suddenly fall silent and feel that something much deeper was happening. The tape of the broadcast continues to be dissected. The ARMY pay attention to every word, facial expression, until silence is created. When a fan asked via live commentary if he was referring to HYBE's decision to split BTS into individual projects, Jungkook was not evasive. He said, "We were given a choice, but the pressure came from many directions. It's not all about music." Right away, a lot of fans started to reassemble the chronology, linking moments when BTS started to be rarely seen together, when statements about solo projects were made, and when Taehyung started to seem more distant. Taehyung himself did not make a direct statement regarding Jungkook's broadcast. But a few hours after the broadcast went viral, he uploaded a photo of himself in the studio, alone, only in the company of the light of a chandelier and an analog musical instrument.
No captions.
But the meaning feels very deep, as if to say, "I'm not angry, just tired." This condition put the ARMY on the verge of emotional. Some wrote open letters to HYBE, demanding that the agency be more open to the psychological state of its artists. There are also those who ask that solo projects be temporarily suspended and all members be refocused into group activities to save the internal dynamics that are threatened to crack. But even more touching is how fans continue to declare their love for Jungkook and Taehyung, asking them not to blame each other and assuring that they still have time to heal themselves. Does this mean that there is an internal conflict in BTS's body? Not explicitly. But all the clues, from the actions, to the expressions, to the implied words, indicate that there is a huge discrepancy between what the members want and what is decided by the managerial structure behind the scenes. In Korea's highly structured entertainment industry, decisions usually come from above. And often, artists have to stick to it even though they know it will hurt their personal as well as artistic relationships. Now, many people are starting to question HYBE's direction in dealing with BTS. Is it too soon to separate them into individual paths? Does the pressure to stay relevant make the company ignore the human side of the members? And are those big decisions communicated fairly to the artists? Interestingly, in an old 2019 interview, Taehyung once said that our togetherness is strength, but that power can be destroyed if we are forced to walk alone. Who would have thought that 4 years later, that sentence would feel like a painful prophecy? Now, as the emotional split seems more and more real, fans continue to hope that things can still be saved. But one thing is undeniable: Jungkook's regret is very real. He wasn't defending HYBE, nor was he blaming Taehyung. He was struggling with himself, with the guilt of not speaking out louder when the opportunity presented itself. And that's a rare form of honesty and entertainment. If Taehyung really took his distance from BTS, it wasn't because he stopped loving the group. It's precisely because he cares too much for himself, for his music, for the true meaning of BTS that it may have blurred amid the pressures of the industry. And if Jungkook is remorseful, it's because he feels he has failed to keep something so precious, a brotherhood built over more than a decade. However, despite the wave of speculation and emotional outbursts that flooded social media, it is important to emphasize one crucial thing. The news of Taehyung's departure from BTS and Jungkook's deep regret for HYBE's decision is not true. Many of the claims in circulation have been twisted from fact, exaggerated without foundation, or even taken from video snippets, statements, and uploads that have been erroneously contextualized. In a digital age as fast-paced and stressful as it is today, emotionally charged rumors can spread faster than official clarifications, and that's exactly what's happening. If we look more closely, there is no official statement from Taehyung, Jungkook, or HYBE's party that mentions that one of the BTS members will leave the group. There was no announcement of termination of the contract, no affirmation of exit plans, let alone an open conflict. Even in the interview touted as a farewell signal from Taehyung, there are no explicit sentences that lead to resignation or split. Instead, Taehyung expressed his thoughts on the importance of personal growth and self-exploration, which is normal for an artist who is developing in his solo path. As for Jungkook, the live broadcast that was in the spotlight some time ago did show him in an emotional atmosphere. But if we listen objectively, there is not a single sentence that directly blames HYBE or alludes to decisions related to the departure of members. He showed only his human side, anxiety, fatigue, and responsibility for huge expectations. The expression was not proof of an internal conflict, but rather a portrait of the sincerity of an artist who loves her fans and appreciates the journey of the group that has raised her. Even after the broadcast, Jungkook remained active in various BTS activities and his individual projects. She shoots global commercials, records new music, and attends internal events with other members. Similarly, Taehyung still runs promotional activities, shares personal moments with the ARMY, and is involved in working with big brands. There was no pause, no statement of aloofness, and most importantly, no intention of leaving BTS. What happens instead is a mass misunderstanding due to overinterpretation of multi-interpreted statements. Fans, who are emotionally very attached to the members, easily get carried away when they see ambiguous attitudes or words. Feelings of love and worry turn into fear, and fear gives birth to rumors. Coupled with the role of the media and clickbait accounts that hunt for public attention, this story has become a snowball that rolls out of control. On several previous occasions, BTS themselves have warned the public about the dangers of baseless speculation. They once stated that not everything that goes viral is the truth, and that their personal lives cannot be used as commodities for opinion. HYBE has issued a stern warning against the spread of rumors and misinformation that could damage the reputation and mental health of its artists. The wise stance to take now is to wait for official confirmation before drawing conclusions. Associating emotions with facts without evidence will only hurt everyone: fans, BTS members, and even their relationships. Especially in this transitional period, when the members are starting to return from military service and are preparing to design the future of BTS as a group and as individuals. This is a vulnerable time for them and needs support, not prejudice. In conclusion, let's remember that BTS is not only about music and stage, but also about joint travel. They have gone through various storms, career pressure, loss of close people, media criticism, even threats of dissolution. But they survived because of each other and because of the sincere love of the ARMY. Therefore, when news like this appears, the best thing the ARMY can do is not panic, but believe. Believe in their relationship, believe in the transparency they always maintain, and believe that BTS will not go anywhere without saying something honestly to their fans. Taehyung didn't leave BTS. Jungkook does not regret their togetherness. And BTS still, as they always say, will stay together until we get old. Rumors will only be a fading shadow, but the reality of their love and loyalty will always persist. So, before we cry for something that hasn't happened yet, let's wait with an open heart and let the members speak for themselves, as they always do.